let's go back in time and see what old Chapo Trap House had to say about this. What did they have to say about it? What did they have to say about force the vote in 2020 when Jimmy Dore recommended my side of the aisle do it? We're one of the only Western countries. I think I think there's one other one. I can't remember what it is. If you guys remember in the chat, you can tell me. Supposedly, we're the richest country in the history of the world. We're the best country that's ever existed. But we don't provide health care to our own citizens. That's interesting. I always think, if you think of the state as a surrogate father, right? If my own kid was sick, would I take them to the hospital? Yes. I'm not quite sure why we have a government at all. I'm really sort of at a loss to figure it out. Let's go over here to Chapo and see what old Chapo has to say. This was Chapo Trap House, AOC versus Jimmy Dore on forcing Medicare for all vote from episode 480. Carl Hungus clipped this. Thank you, Carl. Let's pull it up and see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take the sneer that much, but I'm going to try. I'll try. Okay. Tell me if you guys can hear this. I guess I could put it up here.
We're just talking shit.
Yeah. No.
Hey, thanks, Gavin. Thank you, buddy. I'm glad it's looking okay. I don't have a donate button. I don't think they will allow me to do super chats until I get I have to get 4,000 watch hours. And I have 1,500. I've hit the subscriber. I have 1,000 subscribers, which is dope. I love it. But I can't have super chats yet. So for right now, it's just buymeacoffee.com/Tyler McConnell. Or there's Patreon. Anything you can do is appreciated. You don't even have to. I'm actually really embarrassed that I brought that up in the middle of my rant and then forgot what I was talking about. So if you guys remember what I was ranting about before, let me know. But this should be interesting too. So let's check out what Chapo had to say, because this is the time. This is the time when I quit listening to Chapo Trap House. I could not. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. I was reading that, Gavin. You're talking to Line Author. You're talking to me. I was trying to understand. Absolutely. Yes. We are loyal. Yes. I'm going to support you fully, Lionel, when you get going, man. I can't wait. Anything I can do to help. You got my full and complete support. And I'm sure Caleb will support you too. That's the may 1,000 flowers bloom, sir. I always tell Caleb he's the Velvet Underground and we're his little band starting because we liked his music. But yeah, this video that I'm about to show you is it was an episode of Chapo. I was listening to Chapo at the time. I liked them. They made me laugh. And they told me to vote for Bernie Sanders. They did a big push for Bernie Sanders. I thought they would keep pushing after Bernie. But Chapo were true nihilists. That's what the grill pill is. The grill pill is nihilism. Not caring about politics in America is nihilism. As long as your many children are being killed with your tax dollars, if you don't do anything about it, that's on your soul. Chapo. Go grill in the backyard. So let's listen to what they had to say. Let's listen to what they had to say about this. All right. If you can't hear it, let me know.
I mean, the fourth option, the most elevated option, it is to sit around, wait, roll yourself a nice cone, and wait to see what Matt and Trey say about it.
Well, I mean, as long as we're going in this direction, I mean, I wanted to bring it up, like, because I would like somebody to explain to me what the latest beef is, the drama report on Jimmy Dore versus AOC, because it seems like just a giant who cared to me, but like it's just
That's it. That's it. Breonna Joy Gray. You had what's his name? He was your co-host on Bad Faith starting out, right? What was his name? The guy that disappeared. Virgil, Texas. What did Will from Chapo just say? What did he say exactly? I remember it was the moment I was like, okay, I'm done with you. I'm over with Caleb Maupin. He's actually doing something.
The latest beef is the drama report on Jimmy Dore versus.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I was talking about the friend that heard Gates was. That's why I probably repressed it, because it makes me nervous to talk about it. But that's what they brought up, that Gates was a PEDO. And I was talking about Operation MK Ultra, Operation Midnight Climax, what they did to Julian Assange, right? They said he was doing the same kind of thing. And you don't think they do that to Matt Gaetz? Evidently, they haven't been able to bring any charges, which just shows they wanted to poison the well. And I remember now, I was talking about LBJ and Nixon. I can't remember which one it was, but he was running against somebody, and I think it was LBJ. He said, call him a pig. And he said, but that's not true at all. And LBJ goes, who cares? Make him deny it. That's what's going on. That's what I think's going on, right? Because if I'm successful politically, one day they'll do it to me. And if you're successful politically and you're going against the establishment, they will do it to you. They did it to Caleb. They did it to Assange. Just read the Twitter files. These people have no morality. They're psychopaths. You think Victoria Nuland cares about lying about me in some nefarious fashion if it helps advance her point of view? You're out of your mind. Hillary Clinton, we saw he died. Do you think she thought the Russians hacked the election? Come on, dude. She wanted to advance war with Russia. Where are we now? Where are we now? I remember when the Russia stuff started. Hey, I like that. Thank you, Josh. That's what I want to be. Where are we now? Right? I remember when it first happened in 2016, Russiagate. I was like, no one is going to believe this. Russia's not even communist. Like, what are you talking about? What they're doing is they're playing on the Freudian unconscious. They're playing on the collective unconscious of America and the Cold War. This is how dumb do they think people are? But they just kept it up. Keep 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 it in the news. 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 Ukraine. Money, 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 money. What Tupac say? We got money for war, but we can't feed the poor. Amen. So that's what I was talking about. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pestones, for reminding me of that. I appreciate it, buddy. Okay. So Will, hey, baby girl, you want to say hi to my friends? Dad's studio is also the girls' playroom. You can see Kirby back there. I remember, I think I've told you guys before, but before I started streaming, I was like, I can't do this in the playroom. That's so embarrassing. And then I realized how awesome it would be to do it in my kids' playroom because I really care. And I'm really just a working class dad. High school English teacher that works at Walmart on the weekends, trying to pay the bills. Okay. But yeah. So Will here. What did he say?
To AOC because it seems like it's just a giant who cared to me, but like it's just
Thank you, man.
As best I can understand
It seems like a giant who cares to me. Force the vote. It's a giant who cares to him. It's a giant who cares to him. I just showed you the media coverage. It is everywhere on the media. I don't listen to Chapo anymore, so I don't know what they're saying about this. But I hope they're saying it's a giant who cares to them. If you're a Chapo listener, I hope that's what they're saying. Okay. Because, obviously you can get things out of it. Before we listen to this video, I'll show you what you can get out of it. This is it. This is the window. Oh, it didn't share the right window. Caleb was right. He's like, I hate to share my screen. Okay. I'm going to find it. I'm going to figure it out. So it's got to be that one. That's the one I want. Share. There we go. So I clipped this from Jimmy doing Aaron's show tonight. Wow, this will almost offset the more than 100 billion. Let me make sure I read these in the right orders. So Jimmy Dore says, holy pooper doodles. The right wing of the Republican Party is further left on war than AOC and the entire Democratic Party. The fraud squad and Bernie Sanders are 100% war pigs. So I got him backwards. This is what Aaron said first. Wow, this will almost offset the more than 100 billion that congressional progressives have approved for the Ukraine proxy war. So progressives are ceding not only to the use of leverage, but now also curbing military spending to the GOP far right. The immersion deal Kevin McCarthy is discussing to make him House Speaker would propose a roughly $75 billion cut in defense spending. So the Republicans are forcing Kevin McCarthy to pull out $75 billion in defense spending. And then Jimmy says it. The right wing of the Republican Party is further left on war than AOC and the entire Democratic Party. For us to make any advance, if anyone tells you they're voting for the Democratic Party, you should be kind to them. But I mean, your natural reaction should be to laugh in their face. The fraud squad and Bernie Sanders are 100% war pigs. I mean, we're reliving through Germany again. This is what the socialists in Germany did. They voted for war credits. This is what the squad was supposed to be doing 2 years ago, but instead they lied about healthcare activists. There you go. There you go. I appreciate that, Lionel. It is not. Fatherhood is admirable. And the algorithms, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so back to Chapo. But he said it doesn't matter, even though I just showed you it's all over the news. It's everywhere. All right.
it has to do with people that are mad that AOC is not using the vote for Pelosi's leadership position to force another vote on Medicare for all, which will surely be defeated. But but like activists or people think will be just force the vote or something. I mean, is this a thing? Is there anything here?
I
Because
don't
it
know.
seems to me
I haven't kept up with this.
I do see Dora's point on this. I do. I'm sympathetic to it.
So I will say Felix, from listening to the show forever, Felix seems to be one of the most working class members of Chapo. Matt and Felix. There's Will, if you look into his background, it almost seems like his grandpa was intelligence or something, because he was in the CIA, the Communist Party, something. I don't buy it. It's also interesting how Chapo went straight to number one out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. This is organically how you build a following. You get maybe 4 subscribers a day, and then you beg for money on the internet until you hit escape velocity. Not them. They went straight to like $200,000 a month. But Felix, props to Felix. The rest of them will just be Brooklyn hipsters now.
And it is like there is a huge friction there where you're like, all right, we're starting a new type of politics where this is an electoral revolution. Oh yeah, I'm reelecting Nancy Pelosi as speaker.
Yeah.
Like I do kind of agree with that, but at the end of the day, I do think this is going to be one of those things that in 3 weeks, unfortunately, no one's really going to remember. And I also
don't really 2 years later, baby. 2 years later.
I think a vote for Medicare.
Yeah, that's where I get
a
tripped
failed
up.
vote for Medicare. I do think maybe it's instructive for some people to see what Democrats vote against healthcare for all. But the thing is, they're always going to have obfuscation. It'll always get buried in the liberal and conservative media because they don't want to talk about it. I
think people already know.
Most people who are for Medicare for all know it's a problem of getting. And it's a problem of getting people who are in favor of Medicare for all but vote for normal Democrats to withhold that vote.
Yeah,
that's the whole problem.
This is the idea that I had about thinking about this, because it's like I know Felix, like to your point, like I do understand like that the first part of it, like like you must be aware on some point that Nancy Pelosi is your enemy, and if you're not, then like you are a fraud and a charlatan.
Yeah,
and the thing is like. That on its own, not voting for her or whipping votes against her leadership should be like a good enough fucking reason to do something. But it's when you it's just this idea of adding on this force.
Being on the cover of Rolling Stone with Nancy Pelosi, is that how you prove she's your enemy? That doesn't make sense. Maybe she's playing 17D chess, right? Or she just wants to be a celebrity. I won't say what Jimmy Dore said politics are, but it's Hollywood for Washington, D.C. is Hollywood for a certain type of people.
A vote on Medicare for all, it becomes this just very stupid, and my brain always turns out it becomes this question of like strategy and things like that. And I don't really see the point here because the vote's going to fail. And then like the way that people
I don't expect
we need to get people
waste
on
time
record
on symbolic stands. Like I understand it, but there have already been votes on different Medicare bills. We know where people stand. Doing it again, going through this ritual over and over again. It's like, well, let's see who supported. Well, Kamala fucking like supported. It doesn't really mean anything.
Amber, like that's my bigger point here is we don't need a vote on this because we already know where the Democratic Party stands on Medicare for all.
Hey, do you think do you think Gates knows? Do you think he knows where the rhinos, the Republicans in name only, do you think he knows where they stand? Yeah, so why stand up against all of them? Because that is power. He's humiliating them in front of the whole world. I don't know what Chapo is. I strongly suspect it's an intelligence operation. Yeah. Yeah, why don't we use that 150 billion to build the infrastructure at home? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's one mine where I live, and if you don't work there, you can make egg cartons in Rolla. You can teach school, or you can work at Walmart or McDonald's. that is now small town America. There used to be 5 factories in this town. Now there's a mine and Walmart and no factories.
All because Joe Biden
Yeah.
is fucking president now. And like this idea,
Yeah.
like, you know, sure, according to polls, Medicare for All is popular at a rate of about 88% if you're going just on Democratic voters. But guess what? The primary and the election itself is another kind of a poll. And like it would seem to be clear what Democratic voters actually think about or care about as far as Medicare for All, and like the people who support and don't support it. I mean, like this, do we really need another, like a roll call, another demonstration of who does and doesn't support it?
I think the way to make sense of this is it's not really about anything that happens in the halls of Congress, because we don't have a say in any of this. There's no strategy. Like if you decide that AOC should do a Medicare for All vote in exchange for voting for Pelosi, and if she doesn't, it means that she's on the wrong side, that she is on the side of the Democrats. That doesn't change anything about your life. It doesn't, you can't, and you cannot make her do it. Like there is no public to rally. There is no pressure to apply. Like the incentive.
Well, hey, Matt, how did Gates do it? How did they get Gates to do it? There's 10 Republicans that are willing to do it. So what are you talking about?
Of structures of individual actors within government are independent of any like left, because there isn't the left. There's just a bunch of essentially media consumers and social media participants, and then you know you've got orgs, but they're all separate and they don't have any kind of umbrella organization to coordinate their activities either. What this really is a part of the meta war that's going to now that's already fighting in the progressive media sphere to determine essentially your demographic pitch in the coming Biden term. Like, who are you going to be speaking towards as a left media voice? Who are you going to be pitching yourself to in the new world of a Biden presidency, and which is going to be in many ways different than like trying to do left media under Trump.
So, I mean, you are as guilty, if not the most guilty person in this, right? Because I'm on here doing that, Matt, to 3 people. Okay. And I'm grateful for each one of you. But Matt, you talk to millions of people. And are you inspiring them to join an organization? No. You're not organizing anything. You don't do anything except talk-ish on the internet. You have this huge following and you do nothing with it.
Trump. And so throwing down the gauntlet about like AOC now, she has a litmus test, and if she fails,
you are that. You could have turned people against them. You could have put real pressure on them. You're the biggest leftist podcast in the world, and you did nothing.
That she must be condemned. That is putting a shit out there, and then that's a message to the audience where you stand relative to AOC and the Democratic Party.
That's true, and your chit is you don't think she should be condemned. She's just a thing. We're just in America. Just buy some steaks and grill in the backyard. I've got 1 million followers and I make $200,000 a month from my Patreon. But hey, you're dumb if you like choose a side in this Democratic Party split. You're dumb. Oh, you caught yourself caring. Be Brooklyn hipster. Move to New York City like me.
And if you say no, that's short-sighted, and you shouldn't be dismissing AOC like that, or it's more complicated. You're setting out a pitch to a different group of people, and this question is just a way for the sides to sort out in what is essentially a media nexus that operates the same way that sports media does. Like, you call into Mike and the Mad Dog and you talk about what the Giants should.
I mean, he's like, yeah, that's what you do, dude. Some of us join the Center for Political Organization, and we put rallies on every 3 months, and we have educational meetings, and we have committees, and we're trying to actually organize things. You could do that on a scale unbelievable. Why don't you help us? If that's the problem and you're a real leftist, why don't you help us, Matt? And it was this clip that made me, I am off this train. You guys aren't doing anything. The whole conceit of this show was that you were going to push America towards revolutionary change. But you talk like this. It's just about media. Yeah, dude, it is for you. This is projection.
Draft. That's the same conversation as saying whether AOC should demand a vote for Medicare for all. You have as little connection to their decision as you do to the front office of the Giants. But you can talk about it, and specifically you talk about it and you listen to people who have a point of view on those questions that you find amenable. And this is all about the greater question of, like, who are you going to be talking to? And
so, I mean, that's his thing. It's all about who you're going to be talking to. Who you're going to be talking to. I mean, I guess, Dick, if you think the Republicans are the laughingstock of America, that's what the liberal media wants you to think. I don't think so. I think a lot of Americans are super glad that they're standing up to the swamp. Super glad. I would have loved to see it on my side. But yeah, he's saying this is just a media thing. Okay. I don't understand what you're saying, Dick. I mean, I don't want to get in an argument with you on my stream, but how can you say expend it for nothing when it's like the Republicans are proving that it's all over the news and they've got huge political concessions. They just got McCarthy to cut $75 billion out of the defense spending bill. How is that not? What do you mean capital for nothing? They're proving you can get huge concessions because you embarrass people in front of the whole country. But you need, I mean, imagine if Chapo had been on board with this. It would have been huge.
And what like segment of the left media audience is going to be where you reside in the coming 4 years?
Yeah, and I think that the sports metaphor especially holds up because you think about like someone just like whatever armchair quarterbacking, and they're like, what they should do is run the ball, and it's like,
yeah,
look, I understand what you're saying. It's not complicated what they should do, and they keep trying to say, oh, it's complicated. No, it's not complicated. It is, however, hard.
Yeah,
it is difficult. It's not a sticky wicket that you have to like navigate and figure out. It's like, no, it's just literally like lacking the brute force and power to be able to do it. And I think I think people's response to say, look, it's very simple. Yes, it is simple. It's also very.
Dick, are you saying they didn't accomplish anything because why? Because there hasn't been a speaker yet? Oh, okay. So I guess they'll just never have one for the entire future of America. America's over. Close up shop. Go home, boys. It's over. Nothing will ever happen in America again. Come on, man. At this point, I hope maybe it'll save us $150 billion from going to the Ukraine. Too late. Evidently, it's going to save us from 75 more. They already got that. And guess what? If he doesn't follow through, they do it again.
Very difficult. It's very simple to lift 300 pounds. It's also very difficult.
The simple thing is finding a emotional like narrative whereby your powerlessness can be turned into like a sucker. Where, because if you're consuming left media, it's in the premise, it's on the context of being hyper aware of your powerlessness within the system and your powerlessness over elected officials. And how are you going to deal with that? How are you going to synthesize that into your understanding of the world? And that comes with the way that the emotional attitude that you have towards people in power. And then you seek media that will reflect and validate that emotional response. And then that
You guys-
stands in for action you can't
You
take
guys,
in the
You guys-
real world
Oh
of
my God.
politics.
Holy shit!
I told you.
Sorry, sorry.
That's Kitty.
Fuck. It's okay.
Sorry.
Squirrel? What? Holy mackerel.
Amber Squirrel just showed up on the Zoom call.
Wow.
She's great. Sorry. Politics, they're very important.
Matt was making a very intelligent
I
point,
know, I
and then we all
know.
got distracted by a squirrel. We all
That-
Hey,
that's literally
Squirrels are better than anything I'm ever going to say in my life.
no.
And
It's,
90% of the reason people tune into my backyard stream is to watch the squirrels run behind me.
they're charming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're rat dogs.
Yeah. No, but okay. But I was listening, and yeah, I think a lot about this is it is literally psychological. It's literally people trying to find a way to rationalize their powerlessness and holding people to let's say like pretty like meaningless arbitrary standards of symbolic action is a do this to prove you still care about me. And it's like, I get that, but it won't do anything.
I mean, outside the realm of symbolic action, though, I think it's not too much to ask that, like, you know, the people who are supposed to represent us in Congress, like, maybe make a bigger fucking.
But they can't.
A fucking like
We can't make them.
Yeah.
We have no. I'm not saying. Oh my God.
Or just
that's the thing. How did the other side? If the other side, you say I have brain rot. I mean, your name says all you need to know, but you thought I was Republican brain rot. I'm just your side brain rot. So if you think I'm Republican, then you're a Democrat? Okay. Okay, buddy. That's the Chapo saying, oh, this won't do anything. Turn on the news and see if it's doing anything. Turn on the news. Turn on the news.
Don't
Saying
vote
that
for
we never
Pelosi.
will be able to. I'm not
There's
being
no
like,
side. There's up and
just
down.
let them do
There's
whatever
no
they
left and
want.
right.
There's no hope. But like as at the current moment, fixating on like anybody in power as though you have a relationship to them that is in any way equitable, that you are part of any public that can meaningfully press them and change the calculus of their decision is wrong. That will change if we're going to have a future for this country and this planet. That will change. But like the challenge is figuring out how to change that, not how to like define who are the good and the bad guys in politics, because at the end of the day, no matter what's in their heart, they're bad guys because they're part of a system whose incentives only run towards evil.
Yeah, they're bad guys because we have no leverage.
Yes.
Like if we're going to people need to stop thinking of politicians as good or bad people and start thinking of them as tools.
Absolutely.
So they have no leverage, but they're literally commanding the entire nightly news cycle for a week straight. Because they can't do anything, guys. They can't do anything. That's interesting. You can just command the entire mainstream media. But that's a complete waste of time. Well, if you just dropped in, Mexi, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if this is right. The emerging deal Kevin McCarthy is discussing to make him House Speaker would propose. Here you go. This is what I thought it was. I'm not going to do this again for the Democrats in here. But I'll do it once for you newcomers. Here you go. Right here. Bloomberg, the emerging deal Kevin McCarthy is discussing to make him House Speaker would propose a roughly $75 billion cut in defense spending. Now, here's the thing. You guys might say, well, that hasn't happened yet. You said they're not even fighting for policy differences. Really? 75 billion cut in defense spending. That's not a significant policy difference to you? I don't even care if they get it or not. The fact that there's a Bloomberg article with that in it is amazing. And I would love to see my side have done it in 2020. But people like Chapo are like, oh, that won't do anything. That Bloomberg headline's enough for me. That's more than anything AOC and the squad have done. Absolutely.
And because the powerlessness makes us vulnerable to their whim. It's like it really does, and it is up to their whim. But the cumulative effect of like the political affect or personalities or virtues of individual politicians is never going to accrue to stand up to the demands of capital.
I would add to like whim, even more so than whim. It's every other person that does have leverage on them. And
Yes.
I always hated the whole, like, I remember seeing Van Jones stump at a draft Warren event back in like 2015. And he's like, imagine how he was talking about campaign finance reform, and which is such a cute thing to think about. It's like the left-wing version of being into tort reform. He was saying, imagine, when all of our Democratic politicians are freed from the restrictions placed on them by by Wall Street and big finance. And it's like, okay, look, I'm the first to admit that free political will basically doesn't exist in America. However, you could set them free and they would run right back into the cage.
Yep.
Most of them. And it is
Yep.
worse. I do think one of the reasons people like gravitated towards Bernie Sanders is because they got that he actually is an honest man. But that's just as irrelevant as someone who is a bastard now at this point, because he's not running anymore.
Like Bernie
because
was
he
worth
can't do
supporting
anything.
because Bernie was supporting because his virtue plus a movement could have done something. But virtue minus a movement in an individual politician, certainly south of being president, and certainly any members of Congress, we are at the mercy of the system until we change the matrix, until we change their decision matrix, and until they have to factor us into their decisions. And right now they don't have to. And our challenge is to change that. And we can get mad at them along the way, and we should.
Right.
And we should certainly find enemies and know how to fight against them. But our emotional relationship to politicians is completely beside the point.
We need to be a little more cold-blooded, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just be like, this person is on our side but can't do anything for us. This person will never be on our side, but if we have enough power, they're going to work for us anyway.
But the challenge there is that if you take the emotions out of it, then it's just a hard, challenging job.
Yeah.
And people would rather it be a psychodrama that they can participate in, because that stands in for their sense of God damn it, I can't stop looking at this little squirrel buddy.
I know, she's
Look at
so
this little
great.
guy. It stands in for like a clear-eyed understanding of the situation. Like it's the baby laxative we cut the cocaine with, is that emotional connection to these narratives that are never going to go away, but that it's our challenge to just on a daily basis try to discharge away from our like sense of self, or else they'll overtake us and we will lose our connection to the moment, and we'll start running down blind hallways into dead ends.
I would just think on a basic level though, like anyone who's trying to rep the progressive or even socialist brand in politics should obviously not support Nancy Pelosi. Not just not support Nancy Pelosi, but like actively be insulting
but
her
vote for
publicly
her.
and working to
but should vote for
destroy
her
politically. To the second point, though,
okay, so there you go. You should do everything you can to destroy her politically. So there's a lot of Democrats in here. Okay. how do you feel about the Republicans? What's going on right now? Do you think it's destroying them politically? Really? I mean, I feel like you did. What did you say? You said force the vote would have been a complete disaster. The progressives would be the laughing stock of America. So you think the Republic, like by extension, you think the Republicans are the laughing stock of America right now, right? According to the liberal media. Okay. I would imagine amongst the Republican base, amongst the vast majority of rural America, they're just glad to see somebody doing anything, especially if it pisses people on the news off. But Will says you should be doing everything. I don't even know what that means, dude. Are you talking about Republicans? Are you a Democrat, Dick Goblin? I mean, okay. Anyway, so Will says they should do everything to destroy Nancy Pelosi. Well, I think doing what Matt Gaetz is doing right now would help destroy Nancy Pelosi. It's obviously destroying, what's his name? McCarthy? Destroying him. Destroying him. You think he's going to have support after this? No way. That's what would have had happen to Nancy. Exact same thing. This is almost over. It's getting boring. Oh, really? Really? I had no idea. Really? Huh. That's because AOC forced her out, right? Is that what happened? Or was she here for another 2 years without being humiliated on the news like McCarthy is right now?
Reiterate the thing. I don't see any point in a symbolic vote on Medicare for all because, as you stated earlier, Amber, all the Democrats who ran for president in 2020, like almost all of them pretended to support Medicare for all, and we all know that was full of shit. And guess what? The only one who didn't pretend to support it won.
Yep.
So I mean, it's been tallied up. Like we know already. And then and also these symbolic votes that we know we're gonna lose, like it's fucking demoralizing. Like this is what we're working for. Like just like we need to get everyone on record about how bad they all are. And but the actual thing that we're working for.
That's true. That's true. I'm pretty sure the reporter that covered that, I think he lost his job. A lot of interesting things about that story. I would love to talk to that guy. I bet you could. Maybe you can. Maybe you can visit him, write him a letter, ask him what was going on. It's interesting. So Mr. Pelosi answered the door very calmly at first. So they'd been in there together for a while, evidently. Talking about what? What were they doing in there?
Or is as far away as it's ever been, if not more so.
Yeah. I mean, most people don't want to, I guess show trial is not the right word. Most people don't want to, a grand reveal. They want politics to happen. They want, politics for most people is a means to an end, not, an identity or finding out which side you're going to be on. That's like a media thing. That's like a weird cultural thing. Like, and I think the good news is, I mean, not to be too much of a downer, but like normal people broadly do support Medicare for all.
Well,
so
hey,
that's
I'm glad you got your life together and started supporting corporate Democrats.
We're to that point.
That's great.
We just don't have any power at all, and that's the bigger.
Yeah, that's the real
Hey, Chapo Trap House. Hey, Caleb, if you're listening to this, Chapo Trap House has no power at all. None. There's nothing they can do. They can't do anything. They're just entirely powerless. Even though they're the most listened to leftist podcast in the progressive sphere, whatever that is. And they make like 250 grand a month through their Patreon. They have no power whatsoever.
Yeah.
But we're over that first fucking hump, which is like, I remember during Obamacare, like the way they scared people was insane. Like normal people. I mean, obviously there were like the Tea Party zealots, but people were like, I don't know, maybe this isn't a good idea. Like maybe because there were multiple levels of propaganda against it, and some of it was aimed at people who, you know, were like, well, I'd like better health care for people, and
Dude, you are entertaining. Like with every comment, you get more entertaining to me. So you're worried about January 6th. Okay. Really? You think so? Okay. It's a okay.
you know, I don't know, Medicare for all sounds good.
It's a deep
Oh,
analysis.
wait, this is going to be the problem? Oh, yeah, no, that seems, oh, wait, it's going to have these political repercussions. And, you know, I think we're past that point, and that's good. It's just that, like, now we have to work on building, you know, the we that can actually, like, yield some amount of power. But, like, we're on the same page. We have a huge constituency of people that support Medicare for all. It's just now we need to get big and strong.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's amazing that Chapo doesn't think they can do anything to help support Medicare for all. It's just a hopeless endeavor. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. It's over. So that is the Chapo bit.